One of the most memorable images from the conclave is something no one planned on. Right before the big announcement, a seagull became the most famous bird in the world. The Monsignor is always talking about symbols and symbolism. So John Blackstone shows us the gull that treated the Vatican like home.
On any other day, in any other place, it would likely go completely unnoticed. A seagull resting on a chimney. But this was no ordinary day or ordinary chimney. Millions around the world were focused on this image, a white bird seeming to give a blessing to the pathway between the outside world and the cardinals in the Sistine Chapel, deciding who would lead the Catholic Church. The bird stood vigil for almost 40 minutes.
People are looking for signs, and lo and behold, here comes this bird that, may have done that every other day of every other year, but because it happened today, there was a lot of symbolism attached to it.
Almost immediately, Vatican watchers wondered if the white bird foretold of white smoke to come. There was a precedent. Back in the year 236, it said Pope Fabian was elected after a dove landed on his head, a sign of the Holy Spirit. With heightened security, this was as close to the cardinals as our seagull could get. The bird stood silently, but it wasn't long before it started tweeting under the name @Sistine Seagull. Everybody talks about the cardinals, but it's really the gulls that make it happen. And believers tweeted back, "That seagull on the Sistine Chapel roof by the conclave is great product placement for the Holy Spirit." There was even a changing of the guard. One seagull left and another took its place. Less than an hour later, we saw this. The world was soon introduced to Pope Francis. It's worth noting that the most famous saint by that name is St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of animals, often depicted surrounded by birds. Coincidence? That's for the philosophers and the faithful to decide. For CBS This Morning, John Blackstone, San Francisco.
It was truly an incredible sight there and a lot of symbolism. We were talking about it at the time as the Holy Seagull. And now, of course, we know there may have been some symbolism given that St. Francis of Assisi was always surrounded by birds. It's been a lot of fun to be here, Gail and Anthony.
Nora, I can only imagine. It was exciting just watching it on West 57th Street on TV. I can't imagine what it was like to be there in the square.